Right then, the Premier League returns after the international break. Doesn't get much bigger than Super Sunday at Anfield. Liverpool take on rivals Manchester United. Both managers have held their pre-match news conferences today. We'll join Vinny O'Connor at Liverpool's training ground in just a moment. But first to Daniel Kahn, who spoke to Rúben Amorim a little bit earlier on. Daniel, tell us a little bit about the situation between United hierarchy, Rúben Amorim, and, it seems like Amorim, he's publicly acknowledging the backing of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but does that increase the need for them to find consistency week in, week out?
Yeah, afternoon, David. I mean, that very much is the kind of story of Manchester United's season so far, is that lack of consistency. You look at the 2 weeks before the international break, such a disappointing performance and result away to Brentford. But then the complete opposite, a very convincing win at Old Trafford against Sunderland just before the international break. And during that break, we heard from the co-owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, talking about his support for his manager here at Manchester United, willing to give him 3 years to prove that he is an elite manager. That was Sir Jim Ratcliffe's words. And I think for Rúben Amorim, I mean, we've always reported pretty consistently that he has always retained the support of those at Manchester United in that leadership group of the likes of Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But I think to have the co-owner come out in no uncertain terms backing his manager, who has been under a bit of pressure at the start of this season, I think Rúben Amorim appreciates the sentiment, but he's also very realistic of his current situation as well.
He tell me all the time, sometimes with a message after games. But I know, and Jim knows that football is not like that. So the most important thing is the next game. You cannot control, even with owners, you cannot control the next day in football. So I know that, but it's really good to hear that. Also because of the noise, but he tells me, and Omar and Jason tell me that all the time. First of all, I can feel it. It's not just that thing that people talk, but I feel it in every day. And again, sometimes the pressure that I put on the team, on myself, is so much bigger than them. I think it helps also our fans to understand that the leadership understands that it's going to take a while, but at the same moment, I don't like that, because we'll give a feeling that we have time to work things out. So I don't want that feeling here in our club. Again, the most important thing is the next game. It's good to feel the support, but we need to prove in football, and especially in big clubs, that in every weekend we are ready to win games.
I mean, David, Rúben Amorim there, very honest as ever in his news conference. But looking ahead to Super Sunday, Manchester United against Liverpool at Anfield. United haven't beat Liverpool at Anfield since 2016, but quite often records like that, statistics like that, don't often matter in what is still one of the biggest games in the footballing calendar. And these two sides, of course, it feels like reversed roles in the last 20 years, with one club succeeding and maybe the other not being as consistent overall in those preceding years, while the other club is doing really well. And that is, again, something Rúben Amorim is very aware of, but really his message has been, this is just the next game and they need to win it.
Sometimes things change really fast, but if you see the history of both clubs, you can feel it that sometimes you have one club that is winning, the other club is having a bad moment. That happened with Liverpool when Manchester United was winning everything, and that happened with Manchester United when Liverpool was winning everything. So we just have to acknowledge that, to be really honest with the fans. But we can win any game. So if we think about just winning the next game, that is the most important thing. We can win the next game. If we are winning, if we are going to fight and to be at the same level of Liverpool in the future, that is the idea. I don't know how long it is going to take.
Dan, let's talk a little bit about Sene Lammens. I guess he's going to be a man who could well be very busy at Anfield. But admittedly, his debut in goal for United was an enjoyable one against Sunderland. What has Rúben Amorim had to say about Sene Lammens?
Yeah, absolutely, David. I mean, look, that performance, that result against Sunderland. I think there were a lot of positives to take from that at Old Trafford, not just the likes of Benjamin Sesko, Mason Mount getting their first goals at Old Trafford, but Senna Lomans making his debut in front of goal. And he just seemed, and this word goes around quite a lot, but a bit of an aura at Old Trafford. The fans really took to him immediately, coming out from corners to get the ball. He made some really impressive saves towards the end of the game as well. And with his distribution, I think a lot of fans and maybe us in the media were quite impressed with that as well. But making a second appearance away to Anfield is, of course, very, very different to being at home at Old Trafford. But I think United adopted a more direct approach against Sunderland, and I think we've seen that in this Liverpool team, that has maybe been a bit of a weakness, and that is another pro of perhaps going with someone like Lomans in goal on Sunday. But I think for Rúben Amorim, there were shouts at Old Trafford in that Sunderland win that, you know, could he be the new Peter Schmeichel? I think Rúben Amorim just wants to temper that just a little bit.
Nothing is impossible. You have to prove during the week, but of course he did a great job. It is possible that he is going to start the game. The first impression in this club is really important. To maintain the level is even more important and really difficult. So he's not Schmeichel yet. He's a young guy with talent. He shows a lot of composure. And the fans liked it, but again, we need to prove that is in the past. We need to prove in the next game.
Just to bring you a bit of team news as well, David Lisandro Martinez, he remains out. He's been out since February with an ACL injury, although Rúben Amorim did admit he is getting closer to returning to team training. Noussat Mazraoui, he has missed quite a few games this season. He said he wasn't sure on his fitness and whether he's ready for Sunday or not, but the good news is some of the players, we didn't see a training yesterday, Captain Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad Casemiro and Mateus Cunha, they are all fit and ready to go on Sunday. I guess the question for Rúben Amorim and Manchester United is, will we see a similar team to the one who has performed so well against the likes of Chelsea, Sunderland, even the defeat against Arsenal in the first game of the season, or will it be the team we saw Brentford and away to Manchester?
Arsenal's secret to success. What Mikel Arteta told his new stars to inspire a title charge. Arsenal's summer signings weren't just brought in to strengthen the squad, they were brought into a mindset, a belief, a mission. And according to 21-year-old defender Christian Mosquera, it's a mission fueled not only by ambition but by something deeper, the pain of coming so close, yet falling short. During the international break, Mosquera shared some revealing insights in an interview while on duty with Spain's U21s since joining Arsenal this summer. The young centre-back has already made his presence felt, stepping up in a squad that boasts one of the strongest defensive pairings in the league, William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. It hasn't been easy, but Mosquera has embraced the competition and earned his minutes in a side that currently leads the Premier League table. But perhaps even more impressive than his performances on the pitch is what he's learned off it. We look around the dressing room and you can feel it's a winning atmosphere, Mosquera said. We believe in ourselves, we know what we're capable of, so why not believe we can win it all? He went on to explain that, before the season even began, Mikel Arteta made one thing very clear to all the new players: the frustration and heartbreak of seasons past, the narrow title misses, the near misses in Europe, the sense of a club on the verge but not quite over the line. There's a real optimism this year, Mosquera added. Everyone is happy, focused. There's a feeling that this could finally be the year, and that's what makes his words so powerful. Because for all the current success top of the league, deep in European competition, people sometimes forget just how far Arsenal has come. When Arteta took over, the club was 11th in the Premier League, out of the Champions League picture, and struggling to find its identity. Fast forward to now, 3 second-place finishes, a Champions League semi-final, and a squad that's not only talented but unified. Arsenal is firmly among Europe's elite again. Just look at how long other giants have struggled. Manchester United haven't truly recovered since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure. Liverpool's Premier League title in 2020 came after decades of waiting. By contrast, Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta has been swift and built on clear vision and trust in youth. Still, as Mosquera puts it, second place isn't enough anymore. Not for this group. The standards have shifted. There's a hunger in the squad, he said. Everyone wants more, no one's satisfied just being close. We want to finish what we've started. It's clear that Arteta has instilled more than just tactics, he's cultivated belief. By making sure the new faces understood the emotional toll of past failures, he's sparked something powerful, a united desire not just to compete, but to conquer. Whether that will be enough to finally lift the Premier League trophy remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, this Arsenal side isn't afraid of the pressure anymore, they welcome it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the edge they need to finally cross the finish line. The pressure continues to build, but so does the belief. As Christian Mosquera adapts to life at Arsenal, it's clear that his arrival is part of a broader transformation happening within the club. More than just a new defender, Mosquera represents a new standard, one built on quiet confidence, accountability, and a hunger for more than just progress. Shortly after joining, Mosquera found himself thrown into the fire, stepping in during a key match when William Saliba suffered an injury. Despite the intensity of the situation, he described feeling calm and focused, a reflection of the trust placed in him by the coaching staff. It was a defining moment that showed not only his readiness, but also how deeply Arteta's philosophy has taken root in the squad: composure under pressure, clarity in roles, and a relentless focus on winning. What stands out most in Mosquera's comments is how Arteta's messaging has shaped the internal mindset. He and the other summer signings were not simply told what the club expects, they were shown what had been lost in recent years, and what now had to be reclaimed. The second place finish, the narrow eliminations in Europe, these were not dismissed. They were used as fuel. Within the squad, the message is clear: close is not good enough anymore. That standard has rippled through every part of the team. Training sessions are sharper, communication is louder. The locker room isn't just filled with hope, it's filled with intent. There's a noticeable shift in how players talk about their goals. It's no longer about returning to the top, it's about staying there. Still, belief alone doesn't win titles. Consistency, especially under pressure, is what separates contenders from champions. Earlier in the season, moments of doubt crept in, whether after unexpected losses or flat performances. But instead of being deflated, the team has used those moments to reinforce what they're building. Arteta's response to setbacks has also been crucial. He's challenged his players to respond with fire, not frustration. When the team slips, he doesn't shy away from demanding more. But at the same time, he keeps them grounded. His approach is not built on emotion alone, it's tactical, psychological, and deeply personal. Players know where they stand, and they know what's expected. This blend of structure and emotion has created a culture that's difficult to shake. Younger players like Mosquera are not just developing, they're growing within a system that expects excellence, not in the future, but now. And perhaps that's the biggest change at Arsenal. For years, the conversation was about potential, about returning to former glory, about building something long-term. But now, that tone has shifted. This team doesn't want to wait for next year. They believe the time is now. They believe the frustration of the past has a purpose, to drive them forward until the final day of the season, with nothing left to prove, only something to lift. Whether that belief will be enough to finally cross the finish line is yet to be seen. But for the first time in a long time, Arsenal looks and sounds like a club that truly expects to win. And that expectation, more than anything, may be the most powerful weapon they have.